In Stoic Men Tribe today, we're diving into an important lesson, a moment of clarity, strength, and ancient wisdom. Let's break it down. Never give up. The voice you forgot you needed, let me talk to the part of you that's tired. The part that keeps showing up, even when no one sees. The part that carries wounds beneath your smile. The part that still hopes, even after being broken. Because I know, truly know, how heavy life can get. There are moments when breathing feels like a chore. When your dreams sit beside you like strangers. When the fire you once had flickers in the wind of disappointment. There will be chapters in your story where the plot twists feel cruel. People you loved will walk away like you never mattered. Doors you knocked on with faith will stay shut with silence. And some nights, the only thing keeping you company is your will not to disappear. But in all that pain, in all that chaos, there is one thing you must remember. You're still here. And if you're still here, that means the story isn't finished. Before we continue, if this resonates with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. You might not feel strong. That's okay. You might not feel ready. That's okay too. But you're breathing. You're trying. And that alone is proof of your power. See, life doesn't just test your strength. It reveals it. It throws heartbreak to check your heart. It sends storms to test your foundation. It brings betrayal to sharpen your discernment. It shows you darkness, not to drown you, but to help you find your own light. And I know some days it's hard to hold on to that light. Some days all you want is rest. Not sleep, but rest from pretending, rest from proving, rest from fighting. But don't give up. Not now. Not when you've already survived what tried to kill you. Not when you've come through nights that tried to convince you there'd be no morning. You're not weak because you're tired. You're not lost because you've stumbled. You're not broken because you feel deeply. You're human. Beautifully, painfully, powerfully human. And every scar you carry, it's not a flaw. It's a signature. Proof that you were here. That you fought. That you lived. The world won't always applaud you. Sometimes it won't even acknowledge your efforts. But that's not why you keep going. You don't push forward for validation. You push forward for transformation. Because the life you crave isn't behind you, it's ahead. So even if you crawl, move. Even if you shake, rise. Even if your voice trembles, speak your truth. The path will not always be clear. The weight will not always lighten. But you will always have the power to take one more step. And sometimes, one more step is all it takes to shift everything. Keep building that quiet strength. Keep nurturing that inner fire. Keep protecting that vision no one else can see. Because it was never theirs to understand. This world needs the version of you that doesn't quit. The version of you that walks through fire without becoming ash. The version that bends but never breaks. The version that turns pain into purpose. So when you're asked one day how you made it through, let them hear it in your breath. Let them see it in your eyes. Let them feel it in your presence. And let them know, I didn't give up. You turned every loss into a lesson. You didn't just survive the pain, you studied it. You didn't let heartbreak define you. You let it refine you. Every time life told you no, you didn't crumble. You adapted, evolved, recalibrated. You carried disappointment like it was a map. You carried loneliness like it was armor. You carried betrayal like it was a torch in the dark, lighting the path ahead instead of burning the bridges behind you. And those scars? They weren't shameful. They were sacred. Every mark on your soul was a mark of movement, proof that you lived, that you felt deeply, that you risked it all instead of living safely in a box built by fear. You took what should have destroyed you and made it fuel. You became the storm they never saw coming, quiet, steady, building strength in secret until the day your strength could no longer be denied. So hear this now. Never give up. Not because you'll always feel strong. Not because the path will always be clear. Not because there's always a guarantee, but because your future needs the version of you that refuses to surrender. Because the person you used to be, the scared, hopeful, innocent version of you, is still in there, still watching, still rooting for you. And because somewhere in this vast world, someone is praying for the strength to get through a storm you've already survived. Someone is breaking under the weight of the very thing you've already carried. Someone needs to hear your story, your truth, your resilience, to believe in their own. This is not the end of your journey. This isn't the point where you settle. This isn't the chapter where the dream dies. This is the hinge in the door, the quiet before the shift, the space between planting and blooming. This is the place where you remember why you started. This is where you stop shrinking. This is where you stop playing small, because everything you've endured wasn't random. It was preparation. It was initiation. It was shaping you into someone who doesn't just survive, but builds, uplifts, inspires. So don't you dare put down your tools now. Don't abandon the soil just because the fruit hasn't ripened yet. Don't turn your back on the road just because the fog hasn't cleared. Breathe. Breathe through the pain. Breathe through the fear. Breathe through the voices that say, it's over. Because it's not. Stand up. Even if you have to do it trembling. Speak life over your future, even if your voice cracks. Keep walking. Even if the only thing guiding you is the memory of who you used to be and the promise of who you're becoming. Because the breakthrough doesn't arrive with fireworks. It doesn't come with fanfare or applause. It doesn't always shout your name in the open. Sometimes the breakthrough waits in silence, in stillness, in the breath you take right after you whisper, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And if you stay standing in that moment, even just a little longer, you'll see it, you'll feel it, the shift, the release, the opening. Right on the other side of the moment, you almost gave up. So don't. Not today, not ever. You're too close. You're too called. You're too necessary. Keep going. Not because it's easy, but because it matters. Your life is the evidence. And the world still needs what only you can give. And then, without a warning, without applause, without anyone witnessing the exact moment, the tide turns. Not all at once, but subtly. The pressure doesn't vanish, but something inside you shifts. The wall doesn't crumble, but a single crack forms. Just enough for light to slip in, like dawn teasing the edge of night. The weight still lingers, but you realize you're not crushed beneath it anymore. You're carrying it. And somehow your legs, trembling, aching, are still holding you up. Not because life got easier, not because the pain let go, but because you didn't let go. Because in the absence of answers, you learned how to keep asking questions. In the center of the storm, you figured out how to breathe, deep, slow, deliberate. That moment, that quiet, almost imperceptible shift, doesn't arrive wrapped in lightning or trumpet sounds. It doesn't knock, it waits. Waits for the ones who stayed, the ones who endured the silence, the ones who didn't run when everything inside them screamed for an exit. This is the truth few will say out loud. You will doubt yourself again and again. Not because you're weak, but because you care so deeply it sometimes hurts to hope. You will walk through chapters where the road looks like a dead end. You'll wonder if your sacrifices have written a story no one will ever read. You'll question if your voice matters in a world that's grown addicted to noise. You'll ache to belong, but know deep down you weren't made to fit in. You were made to build, to lead, to awaken. There will be days when your own reflection looks foreign. Days when your strength doesn't feel noble. It feels exhausting. When courage isn't a roar. It's a whisper that says, just make it through today. And still, you show up. Still, you rise, even if it's slower than yesterday. Still, you speak truth to yourself when no one else is speaking at all. That is power. Not the kind that fills stadiums or headlines, but the kind that rebuilds souls. the kind that doesn't flinch under pressure, the kind that earns every inch of peace it keeps. Do not give up, not because it's the noble thing to do, or because of some motivational quote on a wall, but because within you lies a fire that the world has yet to witness. Your very breath is proof that your story is still unfolding. Life will challenge you, not once or twice, but repeatedly, targeting the most unexpected places. It will test your resilience with betrayals, tempt you to stop caring, and urge you to settle for mediocrity. Yet deep within, you know you're meant for more. You didn't endure sleepless nights, shed countless tears, and carry burdens just to abandon your dreams now. There's purpose in your struggles, strength in your scars, and power in your persistence. Every time you stumbled and rose again, it mattered. Every whispered affirmation in solitude built your foundation. Every choice to pursue growth over comfort shaped your destiny. Champions aren't born, they're forged. Forged in the crucible of adversity, molded by challenges, and refined by the relentless decision to rise each time they fall. You are a builder, constructing a life from the fragments of past pains, shaping a future that defies the odds, and crafting a soul that refuses to remain broken. So when your hands tremble and your heart aches, hold on. When the night feels endless, remember that dawn is inevitable. Delays are not denials, they're preparations. Perhaps your journey is sacred, your timeline unique, and your obstacles the very tools sculpting your strength. One day you'll look back and realize that the person you've become is the result of unwavering determination. Not because the path was easy, but because you chose not to surrender. You're not here to live a life of quiet desperation. You're here to live boldly, to speak truth amidst silence, to love fiercely, and to move forward when others stand still. And when your name is mentioned, let it be in rooms of power, not pity. Let your story be one of transformation, not tragedy. Never give up, because the moment you're about to quit might be the very moment everything changes. Victory doesn't always announce itself. It often arrives silently after the hardest battles when you've given your all. So stand tall, even if your knees shake. Speak life, even if your voice quivers. Keep going, even if you're crawling. Your story isn't over. The best chapters are still being written, and the only thing that can halt them is you giving up. But you won't, because this journey, this brutal, beautiful becoming, was never just about achieving something. It was about becoming someone who can weather heartbreak and still stay open, someone who can be betrayed and still choose integrity, someone who can feel unseen and still pour light into the world, someone who can be knocked down 99 times and still believe in the value of standing up the 100th. That's the real work. It's not about the applause. It's not about the validation. It's about becoming so anchored in who you are that nothing, not delay, not rejection, not loss, can uproot you. And when that quiet strength starts to bloom inside you, when you begin to trust your own voice more than the world's opinions, that's when the tide truly turns. Not outside, inside, and you won't need to shout. You won't need to prove. You'll simply walk with the kind of grace that only comes from having been to hell and choosing not to stay there. So if you're in the dark, stay steady. If you're alone, keep going. If you're tired, rest, don't quit. Because even if no one else sees it yet, you're not just surviving, you're becoming. And that kind of transformation is sacred, silent, unshakable. When the world whispers, quit, let your soul roar continue. There will be days when the weight of the world feels unbearable, when each step forward seems like trudging through quicksand, and the silence around you echoes louder than any noise. Moments when the mountain before you appears insurmountable, and you question the worth of the climb. There will be seasons where you're buried beneath the avalanche of responsibilities, heartbreaks, and haunting memories. Times when those you trusted vanish, and your name is spoken by those who never truly understood your heart. In these moments, pain may feel like your only companion, Doubt may cloud your vision, and the fight within may seem futile. But hear this. Because you remember the cost of getting here, because you know who you are, because deep down you understand there is no victory without perseverance, no legacy without endurance, no greatness without struggle. So hold on, stand up, push forward, not just for the dream, but for the person you're becoming along the way. Never, ever give up. If this resonates with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update.